Alright, time for another draft physics video presentation. Unfortunately, I lost the video I made, but so I'll just... The good news is it'll be a shorter video and there'll be less crap about responding to Stephen Bro's silly accusations and nonsense. So in this second video, Science 9 Idiot Gary. Okay, and it says here, a fuller, more detailed, more accurate assembly of the 1.4 times theory tested against Gary's insistence half the mass objects always go twice the velocity. Always when they're able to go their velocity, that is. Okay, when you get the force into them. And therefore, according to him, the half mv squared formula somehow implies free energy, because we can just keep getting more energy from increasing small objects. You know, going exactly the opposite. Putting heavier ones and heavier ones are now the theory. Anyway, after 6 months, he still hasn't realized his conclusion and his fraudulent bet proposition are all based on... I thought there was something in here where he actually says something rational. Are based on this one false claim that half mass objects automatically going twice as fast and therefore having twice the energy. No, my argument is that yes, kinetic energy, momentum is conserved. That just like all the other scientists, I believe that's true. And you're saying it's wrong, and all the scientists are wrong. Okay, so let's show it. So here he says it. Okay, the tests in this video are less comprehensive than those listed above, but are far more accurate test of the 1.41 theoretical increase in velocity. See, he says this is a real theory, a theoretical increase. Well, where is it cited anywhere? So why don't you explain to me why I was supposed to know it? Why was I supposed to know this 1.14 thing? Did you know this 0.41 thing thingy? Where did you learn it? Because I never learned it in school or in watching all these lectures online. I haven't heard a single physics person say it in a physics video. So why didn't they know this? And why don't they tell people this? That springs don't conserve momentum. At least this is true for springs. Springs don't conserve momentum. Alright, in this video I use a spring instead of gravity-driven push mechanism. Good, because that was really stupid. Yeah, where I needed to also test compression depth of 4 kilogram at velocities. Yeah, well, whatever. That was obviously nonsense. First section is edited for faster viewing. It has so much crap in it. It's just hilarious that he thinks it's faster viewing. All right. So, you know, the results are that the fast car, by his timing, is 8 point something seconds. I thought it was in points. Well, anyway, 86.4. Yeah, there's no points there. All right, well, regardless, doesn't really matter. So the other one was, see, these numbers aren't the same as the numbers he had in the video. So I don't know whether these are different numbers. Well, what the hell? I'm not reading all this crap again. But anyway, okay, so the argument is there's this 1.4 theory. I didn't know the 1.4 theory. I never heard the 1.4 theory until these videos. And I guess his argument is that all storage devices are susceptible to this 1.4 theory, and including bowling balls and everything else, and so nothing can ever be thrown twice as fast with the same energy. It can only be thrown 0.4 faster. All right, so let's just play a little bit of this. You get there. We'll just detail the experiment. So as he puts these images on top of things, I just don't understand what the fuck that is. Maybe they're not on this earlier section. I don't know. I mean, it's just so fucking childish. I mean, he's a fucking 5-year-old. Now they're plastered all over that too. What a fucking idiot. Alright, so here's the car. Now, what we don't see is exactly the spring locking device, but he has a spring on the car, the spring compresses, and then it releases. So he did enough, versions of it, so it's pretty consistent whatever it's doing. Now the question is whether there's a difference when the car has weight in it or when the car is light, whether his spring locking mechanism does the same thing. So that's not a guarantee. And then he has some sort of triggering device, you know, and then another triggering device, and it's whatever, 413 millimeters or something. I don't know how far apart that is. So that's, you know, you might say, well, maybe those triggers are a little too far apart. You don't really need to have the triggers that far apart, because then if the cart is slowing down, it would make a difference. But clearly it's the fast cart has the slower speed. So friction doesn't seem like it could be the answer, because the heavy cart's going faster than it should be going, is the argument. The fast one's going slower than it should be going, technically. Or stated in some way that the slow cart is too fast and the fast cart is too slow. That's a description. I mean, this is just so stupid, this fucking music. Alright, so it's weighted by 4 kilograms, and it's not 4 kilograms because it's weighted with 2 kilograms. So, I don't know, he couldn't have been that stupid. So let's just assume he's not that stupid, that he added 4 kilograms to the 2 kilogram cart. I guess I should figure out if he made that big a stupid mistake. So he's just weighted 4 kilograms. Should just say plus 2 kilograms, right? So what would a 4 kilogram? What would you expect from 4 kilograms in terms of the velocity ratios? Oh, I'll have to see. I have to figure that out. He couldn't have made a mistake that grotesque, could he have? So let's say the cart weighs 2 kilograms with no weight in it, and he put 4 kilograms in it. I don't think he did anything that stupid.
1188 again. 1188. These are very close readings, some of these.
All right, and so the point is so he's got 1.88. No, 1.18. Yeah, okay. We don't need the other 8. And then the other readings are like 82. Okay. And so obviously half of 1.88 we could just say is 120, and we should have half, it'd be 60, and it's not 60. So fine, we have to take these results for what they are. Nothing looks terribly broken from a superficial inspection. It's clearly not consistent with, you know, in a sense, his own experiments. I mean, does he really think that these two objects would have any chance of compressing another spring the same amount? I mean, they clearly have different momentums. I mean, they can't really compress the spring the same amount, right? I mean, that doesn't logically make any sense. So anyway, you know, that's making logical sense to me for somebody to say that the same momentum doesn't compress a spring the same amount. That's weird. So maybe that's a fact too, and nobody ever knew it. Because it's sort of like saying that the springs can't weigh people, because, you know, if you weighed something, it would, you know, you put 200 pounds on it, it wouldn't be 200 pounds because it wouldn't be reflected by the spring. The spring couldn't measure it correctly. That somehow all the springs and scales would have to be calibrated to 1.4 differences. And where would you start with your 1.4? 50 pounds or 100 pounds? Where you start doing the 1.4 thing, you start breaking the whole idea of the scale's function. And again, creating paradoxes and whatnot. So I guess that'll be the video to follow, is just again explaining why, if this is true, you know, there's another free energy paradox. I guess people just aren't going to acknowledge that the two formulas are completely incompatible. If you preserve kinetic energy by breaking momentum, you create paradoxes. And it's just a fact. And if you conserve kinetic energy, then I mean momentum, then kinetic energy creates paradoxes. They're just not compatible. They both can't be right. One of them has to be the right answer, and one of them has to be a wrong answer. One of them has to be meaningless. And if you make momentum meaningless, then you have to explain, how did Newton get all those right answers? Okay, anyway. So we just have to take this for what it is, so we'll take it for what it is. And like I said, the video is just a fucking rag, just a pile of shit. This is a tiny portion of the video, is this actual experiment. And we don't get to see it any better than this. He has to put stupid girly images on top of viewing the actual experiment, which is really just so silly and tacky. But anyway, whatever. So we'll just leave it at that. I'll do comments on some separate video. I'll wait till people digest this on their own. So the other experiment was kind of useless. So he wasted our time with the first video because that had huge flaws. Using the gravity-driven lever was not a great idea. So this is the only one we needed to see. I'd say superficially, okay, you win. You demonstrated what you're saying is true. I'm going to wait to see somebody else do it. Okay, and then I want to see it done with different objects, different storage devices, because this is sort of important. I mean, springs obviously aren't storing momentum. They aren't storing the energy, in my opinion. They can't be. If momentum isn't conserved, you're not conserving the energy. It's really not possible, even by just by Newton's mechanics. I'm just saying Newton wouldn't have been able to do what he did if he wasn't realizing that energy was getting lost all over the place. So anyway, till the next time and such. Just a short video. I acknowledged I saw the video, and yes, says you for now. I want to see it confirmed. I want to see confirmation. And I also would just like to see, I'd like to just see where the 1.4 theory was proposed. Because obviously Leibniz couldn't have proposed it because it doesn't match his formula. It doesn't match kinetic energy as it started. It certainly doesn't match Madame Chartelet, so you proved her wrong too. Okay, so just understand all the people you're proving wrong. You're certainly proving everything Professor Lewin says about kinetic energy wrong. So it's not just me you're claiming victory over. All right, so we'll move on to the next piece of rubbish and such, and so forth and whatnot.